Kevin Durant is known as one of the best scorers this game has ever seen. Coming in at the height of 6'10", KD is an elite shooter who can shoot over his opponents and is also a great finisher around the rim. But what if I told you that his build in NBA 2K24 might be the best in the game? Today, I will show you guys this brand new Kevin Durant build and why this build will be way better on NBA 2K24 compared to 2K23. Now, although Kevin Durant does not have a NBA player template build, which by the way, if you haven't seen my last video about the NBA player build templates, I highly recommend you watch it. You can also see all of the NBA player build templates for free on NBA2KLabs.com. Now, although this is a free feature, I highly recommend you get a premium subscription where you can get access to the best content possible, which include Koza's dribble tutorials, premium jump shot information, and many other features. To top it all off, you can use code Joey to get 20% off that subscription. All right, so now let's start taking a look at this Kevin Durant build. And while we're looking at this build, we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of the attribute upgrades between NBA 2K23 and NBA 2K24, so you can kind of get an understanding on how this build works and what attributes cost more than others. But as you can see, starting off with the shooting, the overall rating of the 2K24 version of this build is only a 41, where on NBA 2K23, this build is a 57 overall, which tells me that shooting is more expensive on 2K23 in comparison to 2K24. Now, that's not always true because it's actually going to be very expensive to upgrade any attributes to 99 on NBA 2K24. You can have a massive overall jump in comparison to 2K23, but I would just like to point out how cheap shooting is on this build off rip. Now let's move on to the next set of upgrades, and before we continue, I do want to clarify that this is the build that Joe Knows made at Community Day, so obviously credit goes to him. And as you can see, once again, the build on NBA 2K24 is a much lower overall in comparison to the build on 2K23, even though the attribute upgrades are the exact same. So again, it looks like playmaking, at least at the lower tiers, is actually going to be cheaper on 2K24 in comparison to 2K23 when it comes to your overall rating. Now, once we end up adding the finishing onto this build as well, this statement still stays true. The build on 2K23 already has an 88 overall rating, whereas the build on 2K24 has an 80. The previous slide, it was a gap of 13 overall points, but now it is only a gap of 8. So adding that finishing did close the gap a little bit between these two builds. Now, here's where things get interesting. Once you start adding defense onto this build, the gap gets even smaller between the two builds. Now the build on the right is a 95 overall, where the build on the left, which is 2K24, is a 92 overall. Does this possibly mean that upgrading defense on NBA 2K24 is much more costly to your build than it is on 2K23? Well, it looks like that might actually be possible, because now once we upgrade this perimeter defense and the steal on this build, both builds are now a 96 overall rating, with all attributes being the exact same on both builds. Now finally, when you upgrade the offensive rebound on the 2K24 build, the overall rating jumps up to 99, where the build on 2K23 is still only a 97 overall. Now, with that being said, this seems to be a clear indicator to me that defense and rebounding is very expensive on NBA 2K24, especially in comparison to 2K23. Now, I do want to put out a big disclaimer. We do not know if this is 100% true, because again, we really haven't even been able to get our hands on the game just yet, and I'm really just doing this experiment based off of just one build, but I'm pretty sure this theory does line up with every other build that we have seen so far when plugged into the builder on 2K23. And this tells me two big things about the My Player builder. One is that you can make a build that is really, really great on offense if you are willing to sacrifice not having great defense on the build. And then secondly, if you do want good defense on a build in 2K24, you are going to have to sacrifice something on the offensive end on 2K24. Whether that's your shooting, playmaking, or finishing, that's going to be up to you. And it's also going to lead to many different combinations of builds that you can make. But I do think the big thing with this builder this year is having to decide whether or not you want a lot of defense on your build, because you're not going to be able to make a build that is perfect on offense while still having good defense. Now, with all of the information that I have provided you guys about the builder today, I do actually have a couple of modifications I would love to try out on this Kevin Durant build when I do get my hands on 2K24. First and foremost, I'm going to knock down that offensive rebound quite a bit, maybe down to 70, maybe even down to 60. This build is a stretch big. It doesn't really have to be super crazy when it comes to offensive rebound, so I'm probably going to drop the rebounding quite a bit. And then obviously I'm probably going to upgrade the strength a little bit, at least to like a 70 to 74 rating, just to make sure I don't get tossed around when it comes to these bigger bullies, slashers, and bigs. And then one thing is that I'm also probably going to drop the block down and just get bronze anchor with a 77 block rating. I really want to try and shave off as much defense as possible on this build and put it back into offense, because I think it's going to be a better return on investment, especially with the Kevin Durant build. And although KD is a good rim protector, I don't think he needs a 87 block. I think 77 is going to be serviceable, especially in like 5v5 modes. But if you're playing Park and you want that silver anchor, you can definitely get that on your build. Now, with all of the potential attribute points that we have saved, we're definitely going to go back into the shooting and try and get that three-pointer up to an 86. If I gotta lower the wingspan down to 6'10" to do it, I will definitely do it, because that 86 three-point rating is going to get us Agent 3s on silver, as long as the badge thresholds stay the same once the retail game comes out. And then with the remaining attribute points, I really want to try something here. I want to get the mid-range maxed out on this build to the 93 or 94 rating, whatever it ends up being, because that's going to get us access to a lot of really good badges that this stretch big should need to excel, and those include Hall of Fame catch and shoot, which you can actually unlock now with a mid-range rating this year. With upgrading your mid-range shot that high, you can also get Hall of Fame Midi Magician, which is going to be really nice on this type of build. You can also get gold Deadeye and gold blinders on this build if you max out the mid-range shot as well. And lastly, with maxing out the mid-range shot, you can also get open looks and guard up on Hall of Fame. Now, with those two badges, only time will tell if those two are good, but the other badges that I have listed, we know are going to be absolutely amazing in 2K24. And then when it comes to the playmaking, this build is actually going to get Big Driver on Hall of Fame. Now, quick disclaimer, Big Driver is only a badge that allows you to speed boost in the mid-range area, so you're actually not going to be able to speed boost out at the three-point line with this type of badge, but that is okay on a Kevin Durant build, because this build is supposed to be super efficient in the mid-range area, so I think that'll blend well with this build. You'll also get Blow By on Bronze, which hopefully will be a good badge next year. We'll also get Handles for Days on Bronze, Hyperdrive on Bronze, Killer Combos on Bronze, and Physical Handles. If you upgrade the strength to a 73, you can get Physical Handles on Gold on this build. Then when it comes to the finishing, one thing that I would be interested in seeing is if maybe I can lower the driving dunk just a little bit, maybe the close shot just a little bit too, maybe down to a 71, so I can get my hands on some post control on this build. Because if I'm going to have a really high midi, I also want to make sure I can get some post scoring badges as well, which include your post fade phenom badge, which you cannot get at all without upgrading your post control. So if I want to hit those post fades with my high mid range or post hop shots, I need to get those badges. So I do want to upgrade my post control to get access to them. Now, overall, I think that's pretty much it for this build. I really can't wait to make this build in like 5-6 days, depending on when you're watching this. Maybe 2K's already came out by the time you watch it. I really want to see if I can make a super offensive dominant build that plays like Kevin Durant on NBA 2K24. I want to see what his attribute requirements are for his SIGs and his jump shot. I want to see if his jump shot's going to be really good this year. I want to see what the contest system is like. There's just so many things that we got to find out with this game that'll really decide whether this build is going to be super great or not. And obviously, I haven't been able to even play the game yet, so only time will tell, but I think this build's going to be really solid. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but I'm out, man. Peace. Like and subscribe. Also, comment down below which build you're going to be making first on NBA 2K24. And with that, I'm out. Bye. Bye. Bye.